another signing here, fresh off of that NBA championship. Chet Holmgren decides to sign that rookie contract deal as well, $250 million for 5 years. Woo, my man, that's a lot of money. Jesus Christ, man. These guys are so young making this amount of money. It's just insane anymore, man. If you didn't know, Chet Holmgren averaged 15 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and shot 49% from the field. So that's pretty good shooting, actually, for a big man. G-Mike, you like Chet Holmgren or what?
Yeah, man. I think it's great for both sides. OKC just won a championship right now. And one of the reasons for that is because of Chet Holmgren. His rebounding, his defensive capability in the paint, his 3-point shooting at times. He could score. He could put like 15, 20 points per game. But he's just a great asset for that team. They know that they need him for sure. And with Chet, he wants to stay around a team that's successful. And like I said, they just won a chip. He's gonna want to win more chips. And those are his brothers that he's playing around with. He's playing with one of the best players in the NBA right now, MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And just putting those two pieces together is great for the long run. It's good for OKC to sign him, give him this extension, and then it's just smart for Chet to stay around OKC because they're going to have a lot of success in the next upcoming years.
Yeah, I agree. And OKC is a lot like Orlando in the aspect of that it's a young nucleus that's gelling together. Now the next thing they're working on is was it Jalen Warren? I guess not Jalen Warren. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you. They're working on his deal next, and I'm sure he's probably going to want to sign as well. And so that's seems like a good thing for the NBA right now is that it's not anybody ring chasing and jumping around. They a lot of these guys can see the writing on the wall that, hey, why do I want to mess up a good thing I have going on here just to make some more money somewhere? And granted, they're making a lot of damn money to begin with. So I think it's a smart thing for these guys to stick around. You build up chemistry and you build up a true legacy. If you stick around with teams, you got the legends, Dirk, and you got Kobe, and some of these guys they played Wade. They're known synonymous with the team. And Chet's young enough that maybe that's how they're going to do it. SGA, Chet, and then they got the rest of the guys that seem like they're going to stick around as well. BC, do you like the signing for the Oklahoma City Thunder?
No, I love it. And again, just shouting out the class of 2022 right there for the NBA draft. The rich get richer in this. Chet's been living up to his end of the bargain on both ends of the floor. Obviously, he's been doing a great job as a stretch big, but then what he contributes as well on the defensive end is invaluable to OKC, especially with what they do on defense. We talked about how great their Orlando Magic's defense is, but OKC is probably, if I had to pick any team better, it would probably be them. Their ability to lock down with Shai, which we'll talk about in a sec, on the perimeter, and then you also combine that with Chet's great interior help defense, it's invaluable. And I do love seeing both of these small market teams, air quote, either winning the championship, but then also still, and then the other team that's being competitive and making moves to get to the championship. Honestly, it's a little early right now, but if everything on paper goes the way it is next season, I would not be surprised if these two teams were in the NBA Finals next year. Just saying, way too early prediction, but it's an amazing move by both teams, and one is making a move to keep going, keep building on what they have. The other is to take that next step, and it's exciting.
Dude, OKC tried to trade up in the top 10 in the NBA draft. They try to trade up and try to get in there to try to get another player because they have so many damn picks this year and next year and the year after that. Now your star player, the NBA MVP, SGA, takes a pay cut because he left a lot of money on the table that he could have gotten, but he's like, yo, you know what? I want to have my boys around me that just helped me win. Let me help spread that money to Chet, J-Dub, and the other guys so we could all stay together and maybe try to win 2 or 3 more chips. So it's just OKC's on the right path. They're on the path of winning. Like they're not just trying to do one and done. No, they're trying to be a dynasty, really.
Yep.
Yeah, and speaking of which, thanks for checking in as well. We got a comment going out there saying OKC about to be a dynasty, and that's what the writing on the wall is right now too. But if you remember also, we kept on saying the same thing about Boston, and it just takes one injury, and Boston fell apart. Now Boston's rebuilding and stuff. I think OKC is a little bit different with how Boston was. Their contracts aren't as bad as what Boston's were. Boston kind of put themselves in a cap hell a little bit, and Boston's smart enough to make some moves to be able to get out of that. And especially, this is the right year to do it, especially with Tatum out. They're probably going to be like a second-round team maybe next year. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, injuries can play a lot of things in there. But OKC, they add all these young players and that keep on building up. So I think that OKC, it's clearly the trajectory is on a building a dynasty. Do you guys think that's a little bit too early to start calling them a dynasty? It's only been 1 year that they did it. They've been to the playoffs a few times. Is it too early to start, picking them as the dynasty team? BC, what do you think?
I would say, typically when it comes to dynasties, I want to see multiple seasons of success. Even repeat, I think, is a bit too early to call a dynasty. I think you need to give it like a good 5-year period and then say, have they won at least 3 out of the 5? Then I could say, yeah, you could call that team a dynasty. Like, I would say the last big dynasty in the NBA probably has to have been the late 2010s Warriors, like mid to late 2010s. And then, the Heatles, the San Antonio Spurs, they've been pretty much a dynasty over 20, 30 years. But yeah, let's pump the brakes on the dynasty talk. They're on the right track. They had one of the most dominant seasons in NBA history. And if they keep winning rings like that, the dynasty talks are going to be a little hard to stave off for sure.
Same question to you, Mike. What do you think, man?
I think they're on the road to it, man. They're all young. They're trying to keep their players around. They play amazing defense, and defense wins championships. SGA is just gonna get so much better. So is J-Dub. So is Chet. And if they keep surrounding them with some great role players who actually play their roles and don't do too much or too little, dude, I think they can get to that, man. Because like you look at the Spurs, right? In a sense, was the Spurs really a dynasty? Because they won in 99, then they won in 2004, and then they won again in 2014. So,
2007 as well.
And 2007, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they won like I think 5 from the 90s to the 2010s. So
I feel like a dynasty is like Chicago Bulls from 92 to 98. From Los Angeles Lakers from 2000 to 2003, like the Philadelphia 76ers in the 80s before then right after the Lakers, and then the Boston Celtics. Like, I feel like those are dynasties. With the Spurs, it's like I understand why some people would call it that, but their championships were so spread out that it's tough for me to agree that it's a dynasty. But like, if OKC is able to back-to-back next year, maybe they lose the year after that, but then they go back and they win it again, and then next thing you know, they win it another back-to-back. I would consider that a dynasty.
So just for fun here though too. So we'll switch sports then, because they obviously the next big. They have a couple of sports right now going. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning, you have the Florida Panthers, and you have the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Are all 3 of those dynasties as well? Because a lot of people say that the dynasty for the Chiefs, they didn't complete. They didn't go 3 in a row, but they have gone to 3 of the last 4. I guess it was. I was.
I would say it doesn't have to necessarily be 3 in a row, but just over a sustained period of time, and not just the team itself, but also too is the core the same. That's where I think for San Antonio you can say they're a dynasty because it's Timmy, Manu, and Tony. Like those 3 plus Kawhi towards the end, David Robinson at the beginning. Those guys generally were though that dynasty. Just like with the big 3 Heat, you could still classify them, I'd say, as a dynasty because you win 2 out of 4 championships in 4 years. Like that's an impressive run for sure. I want to see more over a prolonged period of time, not just 1 year. Like they're on the road, like G Mike said, but let's see what they do next year, and then let's see what they do next 3-4 seasons, and then let's check back on it.
So you guys are all on the. You guys are all. I think it's a little bit too early to start this, but they're on the right track. I think you can clearly see the writing on the wall that they're on the right track, but you guys aren't ready to say it's a dynasty yet. Like it's.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that they're driving in the highway. The exit comes up dynasty, and they're getting off on that exit right now.
Yep.
That's what I think does happen.
The only thing that stands in their way is unless there's like G Mike said, unless there's a major injury, or if just some team in the East just somehow comes in and figures out the plan to stop them. It's their league. Like they are sitting pretty right now because all of the other champions that we've seen in the last few years haven't been this dominant. Like the 22 Warriors, that was kind of like, you could say, the big three, theirs last run. Milwaukee
Yeah, but that
Bucks.
2017.
Oh yeah, I'm saying though,
Uh,
like in recent years, like I'm talking like
yeah.
since like the
Okay.
turn of the decade. And then you look at the Denver Nuggets. They had one good season with Jokic. Yes, they've been back and forth to conference finals and stuff, but it was really one season. So, but even those years weren't quite as dominant as what we've seen with OKC, just because of their sheer ability, their depth, and the fact that they really dominate on both sides of the floor.
Yeah.